IVM.
Some people think that Geek Fruits is a show about technology, but it's not. It's actually about us nerds. But if you are a tech head, that's a term I just invented for you, then you should definitely check out Shunya One, hosted by entrepreneur Shiladitya. It's a roundtable discussion about all the tech things you can find in India. Every week, check out the biggest headlines to dissect and discuss from tech, business, and the business of tech. That's Shunya One, every week on the IVM podcast app and anywhere you like to listen to podcasts. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Geek Fruit podcast. It's me, Tejas, and yes, your wishes have been answered. Jishnu is here this week. Hi. I don't know why people are saying...
Who's wishing?
Well, we've gotten some comments on our Instagram and on our mail saying, where is Jishnu?
That makes sense that I have not seen these things because I have not been on the Instagram and the things. I was on a 2-week vacation.
But that's not even but first of all, it's fine because you were on the episode with us for The Matrix.
Yeah.
And that was only like a few, like that was 20 days ago. That's fine.
Yeah, and I was away for 14.
Yeah, you had your friends come over.
Yeah, I had my old college roommates in town and you didn't see me on the onlines because I was taking a social media cleanse.
Nice.
As one does.
Good.
I did it for like 6 weeks and it was immaculate. It was better than my actual vacation.
That's not true.
Yeah, that's not true.
But still.
That's not true.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure it was good. Okay, so Jishnu, you're back. And this week we're talking about Dark Phoenix. X-Men Dark Phoenix in some countries, but in some countries, just Dark Phoenix. Yeah,
okay.
as in like, you know how people title their shit differently.
I'm glad that's where the priorities went, clearly.
So, we're talking about Dark Phoenix.
It's called different names in different places.
Yeah. No, but here's the thing. Just want to start out by saying that I had incredibly low expectations, considering the previous film was X-Men Apocalypse, a travesty of a film. And the one before that, Days of Future Past, equally crap in my eyes.
Equally crap as Apocalypse?
Well, not equally crap, but
I think it was significantly better than Apocalypse, but still not great.
It was not great. And you know what's the weirdest thing is that movie was universally, like, accepted as a great installment of the X-Men saga. And
Future Past, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I know. Yeah,
I
it
humbly
was.
disagree.
Yeah.
It was not great. First of all, I have many complaints for that film. And we've spoken about this whenever we do an X-Men film. And now you guys must understand the X-Men film for all kids from the 90s who were born in the 80s, very, very close to our hearts. Why? No, it was not Sam Raimi's Spider-Man to begin it all for us. I mean, there's an argument to be made about Tim Burton's Batman series, which was then like changed into Joel Schumacher's and then, you know, it just went haywire. But the first legit modern superhero film that we ever saw was X-Men, and that came out in 2000.
And that was a solid film because it was insular. It was very short to the point. No BS, no universe building, no sequelitis on the horizon.
Right.
It was just a neat little package.
Yeah,
it was great.
It was great. We got Patrick Stewart, we got Ian McKellen, we got Hugh Jackman's first starring role as the Wolverine. That was amazing. Michael Kamen's score, one of my favorite scores. The whole, battle at the Statue of Liberty, classic.
It was an extended TV episode.
Yeah.
In that it had a very specific and deliberate beginning, middle, and end, which they laid out pretty early on because it was such an innocent attempt at a superhero film because it wasn't yet like the biggest type of movie to make.
Right.
I think they were just thinking about it as a good story that happens to have superhero things about it.
Yeah.
And that's, arguably what any good movie would be about.
Yeah.
And they nailed it. And then I think once...
and they nailed the theme, I feel. The theme of the X-Men, which is about, about prejudice between, different types of, well, in this case, species, or at least one is a mutant and one. So that discrimination element, which really is what propels the entire X-Men saga in the comics and why people have been very, very closely attached to this to this series because, it reminds him of, things like the LGBTQ, what do you call it? The situation right now. It's still very close. Back then it could have even been about the civil rights movement. But right now it's still relevant because there's always discrimination. There's always like things like racism around. X-Men kind of like really takes that idea into its, big pop culture, story about superheroes and really kind of makes it effective. So that first movie, amazing. We've gone on to see multiple films. And I say this, by the end of this episode, we'll rank all of them. We'll rank all of the X-Men films, including the Deadpool films and the Logan films. Well, the Wolverine films. I think that's fair. We'll do it. Everything in the Fox universe, which now comes to a close with Dark Phoenix.
That's what we're talking north of like 10 movies, right?
Yes, we're going to do all of it. We're going to do all of it. Because it's something I've always wanted to do.
I'm going to need more coffee.
Yes.
Cool. Fair enough. Should we get to this one then? Let's
talk about X-Men Dark Phoenix. I guess the ending of the Fox Universe's X-Men series. How do we feel about this?
Well, the people have spoken. It is the worst scored
critically
on Rotten Tomatoes.
Commercially.
Critically, commercially, and just by all the humans that have seen it, unanimously agree with a resounding what if.
Yeah.
And man,
what if
indeed.
Okay.
I don't want to pile on the hate because there's clearly plenty enough to go around.
Yeah.
So let's begin at the beginning of the good things.
Okay, I wanted to say, I like this movie.
You did?
Yes! I think this movie is a very decent attempt at, at least a failing, diminishing marginal utility, diminishing returns at least from the X-Men franchise.
Okay.
I thought this one, is respectable. A respectable entry into the series for multiple reasons. But
please convince me. Go. Because, like I said, I don't want to add on to it.
No, that's fine.
I despised it.
I will also
but I don't need to echo the feelings that the whole world is
right. So I
saying.
came in from a very different standpoint. Obviously, I realized I didn't watch a damn trailer of this film.
Yeah,
I remember
I'm glad I didn't.
very clearly. I remember very clearly, all of us exiting Avengers Endgame. And the first poster I saw was the Dark Phoenix poster and it had a little TV embed into it. And I was just like, I don't want this film ever in my life,
right.
Yeah. And, we were even speculating this even months and months before this, that, is Dark Phoenix going to release at all? Will it be the first Disney Plus release? Because they don't know how to conclude it. At the same time, should they release it? Because it's an inevitable kind of end, to this entire saga, which has lasted now, 19 years. So we were speculating. Finally, the movie did come out. And we had heard other things. I mean, this is what I heard recently, is that they reshot the ending and all that stuff. But I was completely, oblivious to it until a specific point. And I went in with such low expectations. I was watching with my boys, Abhimanyu, Abhishek. And I was just like, this movie's going to suck hard. It's going to be bad. I'm going in with low expectations because I don't like I didn't like Sophie Turner as Jean Grey. No, in the previous one, I didn't like I liked Ty Sheridan. I love Cyclops. Maybe that's probably why. But I was like, man, I miss Famke Janssen. I loved her as Jean Grey, even though the last stand was crap. I've never understood why Mystique has got this role, which is so central to the X-Men. She's still part of the X-Men in this, when she is a huge part of the Brotherhood in the comics. But I was like, it's cool, whatever, I'm going to watch, I don't know anything about it, I'm just going to go in with low expectations. And when I watched it, and I was like, okay, cool. I was like, okay, wow, first of all, the score of this film is incredible. It's so good. And I was like, wow, these are some really cool scenes. They go into space, they have this amazing, fight in the streets of, Manhattan.
There's a cul-de-sac.
A cul-de-sac. They're just crossing the road for about 20 minutes. I liked all of that. There were a lot of cool X-Men moments, man. For me, the fight scenes were really, really awesome. They showed Genosha, shit that I love. I love Fassbender and McAvoy. I think it's sad almost that they have to be in the series in this regard because they're such amazing actors. They don't have to do anything with the script. It's still so good to just watch them, man. What does Fassbender even do? Two things that he's done in the whole series, which has been so moving, literally. One is in First Class, which I think is a phenomenal film, when he's moving
Missile Crisis.
When he's moving the satellite dish.
Oh, right, yeah.
And that moment, that scene is great. Even in this one, where he's trying to keep a helicopter away from crashing.
Right.
He's just acting.
Yeah.
But it's brilliant because he's Fassbender. And I love McAvoy as well. And they kind of gave Professor X like an interesting arc here.
They did. I did like him.
Yeah. Interesting. Like really cool. First time we're seeing him as a fallible human being, as a leader of the X-Men. And then, and I like the last fight scene on the train sequence is f***ing cool, man. I enjoyed that. I think the story is what fails completely in this film for multiple reasons. The Dark Phoenix saga is incredibly hard to adapt. It's a really long, winded thing. The Dark Phoenix saga, you could, possibly imagine, requires something as similar as like what the MCU did for Thanos. You need a huge kind of arc for it to kind of build up to this moment.
Right.
And they actually have the films. They have the numbers, right? They have like 9 films?
Yeah.
They could have easily done it.
Yeah.
But they dropped the ball really hard. Jessica Chastain, I didn't even know she was in this. I was like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
So random. What a random villain.
I also didn't see a trailer, but I did see an interview of hers, which I stumbled upon. I forget. I think I was just watching a random interview of hers, and I didn't even realize she was plugging X-Men.
Was it the Wired autocomplete? Because I saw her, Sophie Turner. I was like, hey, which movie are these two in?
You're right. I did see that. I did see that for some reason.
I was like, whoa.
At some point, I did see that, but it was some other interview, maybe a Conan or something. I don't know what it was. I saw an interview and whoever it was asked her about X-Men, and she's like, oh, I can't tell you anything. I was like, wait, what? Why the hell are we asking her about X-Men?
Yeah. And but there's a good reason why she can't tell you. She's not in X-Men.
Yeah.
But she is.
Cool. I mean, you're right in that the story is what failed. And I mean, for me, just if you've heard my reviews on anything, you know that like story is king. And if I don't like the story, I don't like the movie.
Yeah.
And so this story was garbage, and so I didn't like it. But to your point of Fassbender and McAvoy, they're always great. They've been the most consistent players in this new generation of X-Men, if we can call them that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm almost sad to lose them now.
I am sad to lose them. But that being said, to your point of 9 movies in, this is their end game or whatever. I haven't read the Dark Phoenix thing. I do know that it is lauded as much as House of M and other story arcs.
It's not my favorite story arc,
but I do know it's one of the big ones.
Widely regarded,
right?
yes.
But to that end, though, no pun intended, I didn't see why this was an endgame. Like, one of the biggest problems for me was the stakes didn't matter to me in the slightest, because. For one, I was trying to remember anything about Apocalypse, and I'm kind of glad I couldn't remember much. But the one thing I did recall, please refresh my memory, something about at the end when they finally have a showdown between her when she saves the day.
Phoenix, yeah. She goes Phoenix a little bit.
Does she go to the negative zone or something like that? Doesn't something like that happen?
No, she kind of starts invoking the Phoenix Force, basically.
Right, but doesn't like Professor X like send her to... Isn't there a thing?
Dude, I can't, man.
I want to... Because...
I was so close to watching the Apocalypse before going for that, but I just couldn't, man.
I didn't have more than a fleeting thought.
But dumb, dude.
But I want to say I remember something at the most pivotal moment of that movie right at the end.
Does he go into her mind and...
Yeah, because I was guesstimating. My guesstimation, which was totally way off, was that this movie would be on the crux of the fact that we've now entered their version of the quantum realm of some sort of thing of like,
it's like an astral plane. That's
some sort
what they do in the...
Exactly. Some sort of astral plane, quantum realm-y, timey-wimey, thingamajig, which would therefore raise the stakes to make this movie the one that kills the game. This is the one that ends the game, right? But... I don't see why this is the end.
But here's my thing. I don't think this was slated to be the final film, right? Like, this was already well into production by the time Disney even announced. And I doubt that, it's not unlike... I mean, I know this is a much wider example, but like even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they were obviously not privy to what the end game was, like what the situation was. So they had to just continue.
Right.
Similarly here, I guess the people at Fox who were working on this film, and Simon Kinberg, who wrote and directed this, I think he has a much better grasp of the X-Men than, Bryan Singer ever has, man. I know he did the first 2 and all that stuff, but Bryan Singer's, he's a dick, and I don't like him. And I think Simon Kinberg, this is his directorial debut. And this
movie?
Yeah, this movie. And he has been writing he's written some of the, like, best movies, man, that we know, and, like, some of the worst ones. And he also was involved in Apocalypse, but he directed this one. And you can tell that there's a marked difference for me. Like, I don't understand the 22% on on Rotten Tomatoes like at all. Like I was just like, yo, this cannot be worse rated than Apocalypse, man. Like how does that make any sense for me, man? Like this movie at least knows what to do with the X-Men in terms of like their powers or who the characters are. Like Cyclops has had a better arc in this movie than in any other film than James Marsden should have deserved, because I love that man.
Sure, absolutely, I agree with you.
And Ty Sheridan, like, there's some emotion. It's cool. Like, there was a lot more going on.
He got a lot more out of the characters. You're right, because you could tell that I think he was playing it kind of safe with regard to the guys that we like. So the thing about Cyclops is that it was just about him trying to fight for his goal, and that could have been any romantic relationship.
Correct,
like pick any two people that have a thing. It could have been
but
Storm and her plus one.
Yeah, he has to be the anchor for. I mean, that's like just the story. Like,
right. I mean, but the thing is, like this current timeline of the X-Men with Dark Phoenix is meeting up with. Where we begin, right?
But dude, it's really not, man.
No, that's the thing.
It's so bizarre.
It is, but it isn't, right? So because of that, none of this. The whole time I was just going, so what? Because halfway through the movie, I got that annoying itch on the back of my neck of like, am I about to watch X3 all over again?
Yeah, same.
And we did.
But X3, you know what's so weird?
To the freaking D we did.
No, we didn't. I'll tell you why. Here's the principal difference between The Last Stand and Dark Phoenix, right? Dark Phoenix in the comic is about this cosmic horror that, is by the Dabari, this whole alien race.
Let me stop you there.
Yeah?
Let me stop you there.
Yeah.
Tell me why it's different without any reference to the comics.
Well, in X-Men 3, The Last Stand, it's about a cure for the mutant, the condition, right? Like, and they use Leech, that character, to kind of develop this whole thing. So they made the story, which is a different arc in the comics, about curing the mutant condition, okay, or people's mutant powers, and they shoved in the Dark Phoenix storyline into that story, as opposed to this, which is solely about Jean Grey and her assuming the role of the Phoenix Force and everything like that. That's basically it, and becoming Dark Phoenix as opposed to like Phoenix later on when the whole resurrection. This story closely reminds me of the death of Superman, right? That's such a huge kind of thing story to tell in one movie, because it's really not, it's multiple arcs. It's the lead up to it. It's the whole thing with what's his name, the guy who killed Doomsday, and then it's about the reign of Superman, which is like the 4 Supermans who come out of the shadow of his death and try to assume the role, and then it's about his resurrection. The Dark Phoenix saga is kind of similar, man. Like, it's about her kind of like finally reaching this role, after years of manipulation by Professor Xavier. It's really twisted and stuff.
It is.
And then and then she rises many years later, and it was like a big thing in Marvel Comics, because they always felt it was really unethical, because Jean Grey goes and kills off an entire planet. She takes the Phoenix Force from there, to feed this Phoenix energy or whatever. And the whole Dabari, who is Jessica, which is what I assume Jessica Chastain and her entire clan is. So she basically commits like genocide. And there was a huge thing in the Marvel offices back in the day where they were like, we are not going to bring Jean Grey back unless we can absolve her of this thing. Otherwise, it's too bad that she just comes back and everyone's okay with it, and she just happened to kill off people. So they had to construct the Phoenix saga, like the close of it, where they wrote it out so that that was not really her, it was a thing, blah blah blah, and she comes back as a different person. So it's like it's infinitely complicated, as comics are, but it's too hard to adapt in one film, and that's the problem here. The story fails because they can't. It's just too much. It's too much information. It's like trying to put the Infinity War and Endgame in one movie without all the other 20 plus films, to put together. So it's like super difficult. And to that end, I don't think this was what they considered to be the end of the saga. I think the Fox and Disney merger happened while they were working on it, and they were like, well, this is it. And what if this movie was like a super hit, Jishnu? Like, imagine. What would Disney have done? Like, I don't know. Like, would they have tried to merge this universe into theirs, or
they still could? They could still do what they wanted to do. But I don't see that happening.
Yeah, because obviously this
0 sense
situation.
But I mean, look, everything you said is is based on the premise of the stakes being genocide level, which is what Thanos did, right? He committed genocide across the universe. Even if she commits genocide on one planet, that's bad enough. Commit genocide in one city, that's enough for me to go like, all right, genocide. Cool. Just commit. All I'm asking is a little genocide. Is that hard? So with The Last Stand, I like The Last Stand more than this.
Yeah.
I despise The Last Stand, so that tells you how much I like this movie. I like The Last Stand more because at least the stakes of we need this character who is more powerful than she can handle.
Yeah.
We need her because if we can extract the one good thing that she has, we can save all these people, or we can cure the thing. And like it's a larger problem.
The Last Stand is about?
Basically, right? If it's about finding a cure, like you're the key to the cure, but
Leech is the cure, and Leech
but
is
I mean,
the cure to the.
But she is.
I don't know how. I can't remember how. Brett
she's
Ratner
a player.
also directed that.
Here's the thing: she's a key player to a bigger picture thing, right? In this movie, it's all about her, and if we don't stop her, she will ... But now the problem is that ... is interrupted by a Chastain species who, I'm sure the nerds who know the law might have gone ooh, but
no,
I didn't because I don't know the law.
I didn't either.
Right,
I mean,
and so
I know a bit of it.
So so it doesn't like really satisfy the Easter egg itch or anything like that to a great extent.
No, but that's just an Easter egg.
And it's just neat, right?
Build it on just that.
So the thing is, the stakes here are stop Pheonix, otherwise we're all in for it. But wait, there's somebody else who's also going to stop Pheonix for us because they're going to do their worst.
Yeah.
And since I don't know who these people are, it's like, how bad is their worst really? And why should everything that the X-Men are doing right now be based around this one particular character? Because like it seemed odd to me that Magneto was perfectly fine in his own oasis, doing his own thing, seemingly like somehow making his way, getting by, making an honest living on a farm.
Yeah, that's
which
cool.
To me was like, that was a cooler story than the actual crux of the movie, because at least when Magneto and Xavier meet up, the few conversations they have, even though it doesn't do much for this particular story, those are always my favorite scenes.
Dude, those guys are amazing.
They're my favorite scenes because they're building on a relationship that we've known now for nine films on. And so 100%. That dynamic, we know, and you can, really milk for all it's worth.
Yeah.
The problem with this Pheonix character, this particular Pheonix, this young baby Pheonix, not the Famke Pheonix, the Sophie Turner Pheonix, is that we don't know enough about her to give enough of a f***.
Yeah.
And so when you say that this person who's been sidelined for the last couple of movies of the new generation of X-Men is all of a sudden now the biggest player, and if we don't contain her, we're all in for it. I was like, well, why wasn't this alluded to at all before? Like
they kind of do in the last one, but last one is trash. It's a trash bag
because
of
it's
a
so
film.
trash. Yeah. You can't like stand on the shoulders of a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's a quotable moment.
If you're standing on the shoulders of a piece of shit, then you're knee deep in shit, and you can't really be proud of standing in knee deep shit.
I think you know what's so weird though. Like this X-Men universe has been kind of like it's weird. It's got its own rules and everything like that. I felt like, okay, they're aliens now suddenly, like, I just felt like, okay, cool, that's random. Yeah, I mean, we hadn't reached that cosmic thing ever.
Right, they had to own those stakes.
I get you kind of have to because it's the Dark Phoenix storyline, but yeah, it doesn't make any sense. In fact, in some ways, and here's I was reading this interview with Matthew Vaughn, right, the guy who directed First Class, which is a movie we all love. Yeah. Fantastic film, really, doing a lot with very little, of the known X-Men. All we had was like, we had Havoc in that. We had like a bunch of like what I'd call, B-list X-Men to some regard, at least in the film sense, and still made a very compelling story, roped in the Cuban Missile Crisis. Man, that shit is insane, right? I feel like the second film after that, and he was saying this is why I left the project, is because they wanted to do Days of Future Past immediately. And I was just like, of course you can. Like, it's the biggest, if not the biggest arc in the comics, one of the biggest kind of things, because you're crossing both universes, you're doing something insane. Surely that should be your end game or whatever. That should be like, and so that's why he left the project. I always felt like, I think this would have been a good second movie, man, in the entire saga. Like, I think if they kind of led up to the whole fact that she becomes Dark Phoenix and then they close out with her being bad. Yeah. And then we kind of continue this into the next film and then we get Days. Yeah. Then that all kind of ties in together. At least it's a better flow. We get to know these characters for longer periods of time. Yep. But for this, man, it was just also, by the way, this is the funniest shit I read. Okay? in this movie, Charles Xavier and Magneto, Eric, are 62 years old. How? Well, yeah, because they were born in like the
wow.
Yeah, if you think about it, but they look like Fassbender and James McAvoy.
Holy crap. Wait, it's set in 1992, right?
Yeah, 1992. Just do the math. 1 second, we'll take a break. You do the math.
Yeah,
we'll come
I'll
back.
need a break.
Hey everybody, welcome to another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please make sure you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd like to thank our sponsors for the month, Savari, Storytel, and Paytm Money. Thank you for your support. Also, guys, we're still hiring, and as I've mentioned before, I think IVM Podcast is probably the best place to work in the world. So if you're interested in joining our team, we're looking for producers, content creators, audio engineers, developers. We're looking for business development people. We're looking for data scientists. We're looking for all kinds of roles. So if you're interested, send us an email to careers@indusvox.com and we shall get back to you, hopefully, and get you on board. We have a brand new show launching called The Origin of Things. It's hosted by one of the co-hosts of Simplified, Deepak Gopalkrishnan, better known as Chuck. On this show, he'll be focusing on the origin of famous brands. Chuck will drop fascinating hits throughout the episode, but the brand is revealed only at the very end. Will you be able to guess the brand before the reveal? Find out by tuning into the first episode launching on Wednesday, 19th of June. And Keeping It Queer is back with Season 3. The new season has more of everything, from stories to debates to discussions. The show also has 2 hosts now, Naveen Narona and Farhad Karkaria. Tune into the first episode of their reunion. On The Seen and the Unseen, economist Ajay Shah returns to talk to Amit Verma on episode 125. This time around, they do a deep discussion about the world of finance. On Advertising is Dead, Varun is joined by Shivram Parmeshwaran, Senior Marketing Manager at LinkedIn, to talk about the brand and agency ecosystem in India. On What a Player, Siddharth, Akash and Mikhail are discussing the ongoing ICC Cricket World Cup 2019 and how most of the matches are washed out this season because of the rain. On States of Anarchy, urbanist Yang Sanghi joins Hamsini Hariharan to talk about how the city of Seoul has evolved and what lessons it bears for cities in developing countries. Rock Tales is celebrating 100 episodes of storytelling with Anand Sivakumaran. He's set to charm you again with his new kind of storytelling on this special episode. On The Habit Coach, Ashton talks about mind mapping and how it can dramatically boost creativity. He also discusses the most important tool you can have in your productivity arsenal. This week on Mr. and Mrs. Binge Watch, Anirudh and Janice talk about the women they love in the world of television. And with that, let's continue with your show.
Hey guys, we're back. We're talking about X-Men Dark Phoenix. We've done a little bit of math. Check it out. So, if, Eric, whose entire story arc begins with, the Holocaust, and he's a child, he's a victim of that entire situation, which is why he's got this chip on his shoulder, he's lashing out against the wall. Great story. He was in the Holocaust, which means he was a kid. He may have been
about
10 years old during the Holocaust,
Yeah.
which kind of roughly puts that so that's in the 40s.
Yeah.
And so this is 60 years later.
Right.
He's supposed to be at least 70 or something like that.
My God.
How does this make sense, dude?
Okay.
And they look like that? So it makes more sense, actually, if you look at X-Men The Last Stand, and they look like DH, Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, because that's how math works.
Yeah. I get it.
And then, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it just makes no sense. They just came up with a gimmick saying, let's put every movie in a different decade.
Yeah.
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
So stupid.
Okay, we will eventually get to ranking everything, but is it a safe bet to say that the first movie, the 99 movie, and First Class, if not your first and second, then your top 3?
Well, X-Men 2, I'd say also. X-Men 2 is one of my favorites.
But the first movie and First Class are definitely the two of the stronger ones?
Yes.
Right? I don't think that's a coincidence, because when both those movies happened, it was metaphorically a clean slate. I mean, the first one definitely, because it was the introduction.
Yeah.
And the second time around, it's in a metaphorical clean slate. It's a prequel, but the way they started that and the way they handled that movie,
and it was
in the same vein,
film,
just a solid story that happens to allude to other things happening around that time.
Yeah.
Not less so in the first movie. Obviously, the Cuban Missile Crisis was a great...
It was an awesome start point,
Start point to create a bigger world of...
Superb, yeah.
We need a stage for these guys to do their thing so that the whole freaking world, or at least the entire country, recognizes
their presence,
right? So that was a great move. But now, those two movies are purely based on the Xavier Magneto
which is the best
dynamic, which is what the whole damn thing is built on. It's like, you can't have an Avengers movie without a Tony Cap dynamic being built.
Well, we'll find out.
So there will always be a bad guy, and in this case, the humans are always your bad guys by appointment. It's like, at what point in the story will the humans be the ones that we are rooting against?
Or like a third party
the
villain.
The antagonizing factor that is not relevant to the story, but they're just like somebody
team up.
that you always have to be aware of and
Yeah,
know that they're
yeah.
there, right? Now, with freaking Dark Phoenix and with X3, forget the fact that they both end with the exact same shot of a phoenix shadow
flying.
thingy, just friggin'
that
angered me to no
I
end.
know we're spoiling Dark Phoenix, obviously, but did the last scene not just remind you of Inception, where he's just on the end of Dark Knight Rises, where I almost thought there's this shot of James McAvoy, and the other side will be Alfred sitting at the same restaurant. in the Dark Knight. It was so similar. In fact, it looked exactly like the Inception, the cafe scene where he's like, "How do you know this is not a dream?" I was like, "This is the same place." This reminded me too much of that.
But go down that rabbit hole with you. The last shot before you see said shadow phoenix in the sky is of the two of them, right?
Playing chess.
Solid. Great homage to Yare. Look, cool. chess, that's a thing, we get that.
Yeah.
However, it says a lot that is what gives you closure in that movie. It's not the fact that she's ascended to this Dark Phoenix and become this higher mighty power that they don't even know is out there. It's the fact that these two guys are still, through all their differences, through
BFFs.
all the BS, are still BFFs. They have this amazing frenemy relationship.
Amazing.
And that's what you care about.
Yeah.
So I also saw the writer/director recognizing that fact and backpedaling on what the whole damn movie is about, quote unquote. It's about Dark Phoenix. No, it's not. It's about these two guys, because you know that if you make the movie sans Xavier and Magneto, you don't have a movie.
Yeah.
Because
But they made it with Sansa. Huh?
you can have that one.
Go ahead.
But so every time there was any emotional grounding in this film of any kind, the only point where I went, oh, I'm invested in this moment right now.
Yeah.
It involved one or two of these people.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
Everybody else, like, I
with you.
did like how Ty Sheridan handled his role.
Yeah.
But to be fair,
But we don't know
it's
him
a
that
pretty
well,
one, we don't know him too well, but it's a pretty straightforward role to play.
Yeah, it's two-dimensional.
It's pretty two-dimensional, which is nothing wrong with that.
nothing
You
wrong
need
with-
it
you
now and
need
again,
to-
so that's fine.
yeah.
But I can't say that this movie is good because the two-dimensional character was pretty good. So what I liked, though, is the fact that these guys, McAvoy and Fassbender, just keep getting better for me.
Yeah, of course.
They
they're
have
so
not.
good.
They have not slowed down in any capacity.
That's why I'm watching these films.
And that's why we have anything good to say about it is because it had a scene that involved these guys.
Yeah.
So to that end, good things are the things I expected to be good. The bad things were many more.
I will say this. I'm not a fan of Jennifer Lawrence in in these last few
we've
films.
said that
We've spoken
many
about
times,
it. Yeah, because she's so goddamn out of place, man.
Yeah.
Like, I think, her role in First Class makes so much sense because she has to shift, from the good side to the bad side. It's perfect. One is trying to, keep her a specific way, and the other one sees her for who she is and says, I want to see you,
Right.
And that's brilliant. And then after that, because she's Jennifer Lawrence, she got an elevated role in Days of Future Past. First of all, that movie, don't even, you know how much I hate that fucking movie. It's so stupid. But they gave her this role. I was like, cool. Then she's there in Apocalypse also. I'm just like, yo, man, what is going on, dude? And now she's an X-Men. She's the leader of the X-Men. This is like, I swear to God, this is like Howard the Duck leading the Avengers or something like. It's just like, it feels like, okay, it's possible.
Okay.
I'm not against it, but I'm just it feels, she is Raven Darkholm. First of all, she is this one's mother in the, she's Nightcrawler's mom.
Okay. Do you give enough Fs right now to dig into her death and what the implications of that are?
Yes.
Because honestly, when it happened, I went, wait, I don't get it, but I don't care.
Okay, I would say two things about it.
Because I'm not that invested in it. Okay. Because it's the timelines. I'm so confused now. Where are we?
Just, no, dude, you have to understand that's after Days of Future Past, it's given them like one get out of jail free card and say, do whatever you want.
But they got out of jail and went to the friggin' gutter. Like, you could have gone anywhere and you went to the friggin' garbage dump.
Free parking.
Like, you just fucking ran into the sewers.
It's stupid. Okay, now let me tell you something. Okay, I'll say two things about Jennifer Lawrence's character as Mystique in this film and her death. Okay, I think the moment she died, I was like, okay, well, that's done at least. But I think it was a smart move, writing wise, because it kind of it does do what I'd say Natasha's death in Endgame does, which is that there's no other character who is closely, like if Hawkeye dies in Endgame, obviously it's not everybody has had a personal connection with Hawkeye, and especially Thor. I've always kind of noticed this, that Thor and Hawkeye don't like chat. Are they mates? What's happening? But Natasha is closely linked with almost all the characters, right?
She's been there from day one.
Exactly, and she's been an Iron Man, Winter Soldier. She knows everybody, so it's really important. And I felt Mystique works in that way because, obviously because of Beast, so, one of the OGs, because of Xavier, because they grew up together, obviously Magneto, because they were in love. So I thought her death, it makes sense. This is like, okay, cool, this is the right person to kind of kick the bucket to raise the stakes a little bit more. So I said, okay to that. And I was like, chalo, this is the smartest thing you could have done with this character, because everybody was getting on my nerves that Mystique is the leader of the X-Men and not Cyclops. Is this like a bad... Am I not allowed to kind of... I don't know. I just feel like... It just didn't feel right, man. I don't understand why she's an X-Men. She's part of the Brotherhood. God damn it.
See, but that's if you open up that rabbit hole of like comparing it to the original thing, it's like...
I know.
It's like...
No, it's not just that.
It's like I actually enjoyed Aladdin a lot more than I was expecting.
You did?
Because...
I loved Aladdin.
Because... I didn't love it. I liked it. I liked it more than I expected.
Yeah, same.
Above average.
Yes.
Like I explained it to people as like, if a kid watches the live action Aladdin without having seen the original ones, they will be perfectly satisfied. And because I think it's a perfectly functional, fun movie, and that's what you're going in for. Right, exactly. I can't critique it. If I critique anything based on the original Disney film,
how do you like the new song?
Forgettable, but that's the thing. I'm only saying that because it's standing next to like four of the greatest songs you'll ever hear.
Of course,
so everything's going to be.
Did you see that link of Mickey Mouse playing the drums on "Friend Like Me"?
Oh no, I haven't seen that yet.
Great. Sorry.
But look, so basically the reason I was able to stomach Aladdin and actually enjoy myself was because I consciously chose not to watch the original going
just
in
before,
because then it would just be bugging me the whole time.
Absolutely,
and that's the comic book movie, Achilles' heel.
I agree. And I'm not saying that, and here's why it also kind of comes off as weird is because few characters in the original, Xavier, got Patrick Stewart, got Ian McKellen, got Hugh Jackman, and he was like an unknown actor then, but they elevated his role. He was so good in it, and Wolverine is like one of the principal characters of the X-Men. Well, even if he's not in the X-Men, he's still one of the most important characters. Right. And there's a reason why they are the most important ones. Something that I love about the Avengers films, even though Iron Man was far and away the most successful character from this entire MCU, they still made Cap the leader of the Avengers. Okay? And the moment, when that moment happens, it's in the first Avengers film, where it's a circle shot just before that, and he's like, Iron Man says, Cap, call it. And that's the moment you recognize, cool, Captain America is the leader of Avengers. Just like the comic books, just like how it's supposed to be, and I love that moment that they could have made RDJ just the leader of the Avengers, but they didn't. They chose to kind of respect that idea that there's a reason why he leads the Avengers. Like even in the Ultron, he says, I don't, it's not me, I don't lead the team, I just pay for everything, I'm just running this bed and breakfast or whatever for everybody. Which is really cool. I like that they understand why there's a reason why Cap leads and not Iron Man. And similarly here, it's like, I always felt like Mystique is not given a really big role in the previous films, in the original trilogy, because she's not got that much to offer, I think, as a character, as opposed to the cartoons and the comics. But over here, they made it like a really interesting thing, but then they kind of just like ruined it, man. They just like force fit her into it.
It's not earned.
Yeah, I didn't feel.
Her death wasn't...
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Okay, you didn't see the trailer, did you, right?
No, I didn't.
Okay, did you hear about the whole uproar about what was shown in the trailer?
No, what was shown in the trailer?
So, apparently, they showed her dying in the trailer.
What?
And he had to defend it because people were like, yo, what if... because once they showed that in the trailer, everybody's minds went racing like, okay, is this movie so damn good that they don't mind telling us? And you know how I found out about the death? I didn't see the trailer, right?
Oh.
I watched a Jimmy Kimmel interview, I think it was, with the whole cast.
Yeah.
And at some point, Kimmel, if it was Kimmel, I could be wrong, but if it was him, he started a question with saying, so I know this isn't a spoiler, but you die in this, right? To which she goes like, whoa. Well, I wasn't supposed to say anything, but I mean, I guess it is out
Are
there.
you
so,
serious?
And so on and so forth. So I was like, okay,
so weird.
that's weird. But so
Why did they do this?
I don't know. Like he's defended it. The director defended it very wishy-washily.
That's so weird.
It was not the strongest defense. It was just like, it's meant to allude to yada yada and blah. He didn't have anything worth remembering in his defense.
That's damn bad, dude.
It was really bad.
You can't do that, man.
But here's the thing. Assume that you knew that, right? Assume that you already knew that this was going to happen.
Oh, God.
If that's your selling point for the movie, Dark Phoenix is about the Phoenix. It is so much about the Phoenix that this one character who we've been building up as the leader or whatever the hell is going to go.
Oh, man.
At the hands of said Phoenix.
I didn't
feel
I'm so surprised they did that. That's insane.
I didn't feel like
That's like an ultimate sin of film.
There wasn't like how do I put it? I didn't feel like there was an earned backstabbing moment of that. I didn't feel like, oh my God, Phoenix, how could you? At all, because their relationship dynamic wasn't one. It's like, you know what, how you felt when the final fight in Civil War happens, right? When it's the three of them, and they're really going blow to blow, and it's like, holy crap!
Someone's gonna die.
Somebody's like, that's when you're like, but my friends are fighting. Like, no, you guys love each other. Don't do that. There wasn't an inch of that.
Yeah, there wasn't. I mean, I feel like
that's what they were getting at. That was the point of it. That's to bring out like, oh my God, she's turned, she's become horrible, and
she should have. I don't understand when they made such an amazing character of her in First Class, where she turns to the other side and she joins the Brotherhood. Mm-hmm. Why the hell didn't she just stay there? Yeah. Like, she would have been an excellent figure in the Otherwise, it's a Magneto just getting a band of new mutants every film.
Yeah.
It's just every new film, there's no other person he can talk to. And I was just like, you have like a great mystique. She's like oh my God.
She had a ponytail dreadlocks, man. Dreadlocks, man. All dreadlocks are ponytails.
Well,
it's like a square and a rhombus.
I just didn't get it. Yeah, one's a kite, one's
all
squares are all rhombuses.
All dreads are ponytails, but not all ponytails are dreads.
Correct. All squares are rhombuses.
Rhombi.
Rhombi. But not all rhombuses are squares. I don't know which one is true.
All squares.
Like all parallelograms are quadrilaterals, but not all quadrilaterals are parallelograms.
That is correct.
That's true.
Well
That's an easy one. Come on.
Tell me more maths.
More science.
You have more maths to share?
Okay, cool. I just think...
If you're born in 1993...
Tell me something, Jishnu, before we take a break and then rank our favorite X-Men films. Do you think somebody can make a master edit using all the footage that we have now from all these films?
You should write better movies. Don't do anything with these.
Like a Topher Grace.
Let Sleeping Dogs Lie.
No, in the sense we're not talking about like a petition to remake this. Nobody cares, all right? No, but what I'm saying is like a Topher Grace, for example, who has re-edited, several films together, like the prequels and stuff, the Star Wars series. You think there's enough to build like a more convincing timeline, and like just a cohesive kind of, maybe it's like a 3-hour film, but just like builds the X-Men and then, ends it with Days of Future Past. Maybe that's the way to do it.
No, I don't condone such behavior, because if you have if you have the time of day to do this, then you should dedicate that time to writing a better movie.
Who is going to one editor randomly somewhere in Lokhandwala who can cut the film and just like make a sick edit?
Spend your time editing a new movie. That is a new story. Find a new story. No. That's the problem.
I love fan edits.
Dude, that's the problem with this movie. It's exactly X3. It's the exact same problem. I'm sure the factor of the Fox Disney merger buyover thing makes things complicated, yada yada. But the point is, you knew X3 was X3. You knew how people felt about X3. You knew that we had done a Phoenix movie.
But
you knew all these things.
Okay, one second, hold on.
The minute you're going in with a movie based on the crux of the movie that was universally hated.
But they've remade Spider-Man also like 3 times.
Absolutely. And you saw what happened because of it, right?
No,
There's exponential depletion.
No, but Homecoming is a great film.
No, that's a completely different universe, completely different world, completely different context. Between the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, there was a decline of returns.
I don't know what you're talking about. Spider-Man 3 is a great film.
Cool. So in that vein, you like Dark Phoenix more than you like X3.
100%.
So not everybody's going to agree.
I like Dark Phoenix better than a lot of the X-Men films.
But the numbers don't lie.
Now here's the other thing. And I know this is important for me. The action is really important in an X-Men film because I love seeing the showcasing of powers. The train sequence in this film is fucking cool because Magneto does some cool shit. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of cool shit in this film, man. I love all of that. It was great. It was great to watch. And I was sitting with these guys, and I'm just like, we knew what we were getting in, what we were in for. But I was just like, at every turn where there was like something cool or something interesting, I was like, all right, man, okay, cool. This is not as terrible as people are making it out to be. Yeah, sure, it's not at all by, any standard, like a great film or a good film even. But I was like, man, why are people shitting on this? It's like there's a coherent story. There's some good, interesting parts. There's great action. It's filmed well. The music is incredible. This is Hans. We were watching it, and then the credits came on. It was like, oh, it's Hans Zimmer's done the music. I was like, what? I thought he was never going to do a superhero film. Then I saw this interview of him, and he was just like, yeah, I just felt like this was the right, and the score is immaculate, man. It's so good. Just check out this track, man. It's really, really good. The first track on the Dark Phoenix album, I think it's going to go down as one of the most underrated scores thanks to the film. It's not like Bollywood where the soundtrack can save a film, it's not a Mahesh Bhatt film. But anyway, I think this movie has some merits.
Tron Legacy might have had that happen.
Boom. Yes, you're right.
Daft Punk saved.
Yeah, dude, it's Daft Punk. You can't you take the biggest band in the world and make a musical. Oh wait, that U2 did that. Oh! Yeah, U2 did the Spider-Man musical.
Oh, musical. And
the music is better than the...
Musical and film is quite different.
Yeah, it is different. Yeah. But that score is amazing. Yeah. They're coming to India here. Anyway, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about our favorite. We're going to rank the order of all X-Men films, including the Wolverine films and the Deadpool films. Everything in the Fox universe. Let's do it.
India's a massive subcontinent, home to truly stunning diversity. Behind the veils of smoke that obscure our thriving cities, our history is still alive, glimmering like sequins, waiting to be discovered. And if you, like me, are straining to hear the echoes of our past, this podcast is for you. I'm Anirudh Kanisetti, a history and geopolitics researcher, and I host Echoes of India, a history podcast about India, by Indians, and for Indians. In Echoes, we journey through the complex histories of South Asia and what they can teach us about our globalized world. Tune in every Wednesday on ivmpodcast.com or your favorite podcast app.
Alright, we're back. Okay, cool. Jishnu, we're ranking all the X-Men films and all the Fox films with X-Men in them. And by that, obviously, we mean the 6 X-Men films,
let's list
the
them.
3 Wolverine films, and the 2 Deadpool films.
I forgot there were 3 Wolverine films.
Yes.
God damn it. So
yes.
Okay, there's X1, 2,
How do we
and
do
3.
this? Backwards, forwards?
Let's just list them. As
Okay,
we
I'm
have
just gonna list them out first. Okay,
Yeah.
There's X-Men, X-Men 2, X-Men United. That's what it's called. That's the full form of the film. There's X-Men 3, The Last Stand. In the middle somewhere, there is X-Men Origins, Wolverine. Which they were trying to make that a naming convention with Gambit, but that movie never happened.
Oh, right.
Right? Then there was The Wolverine, James Mangold's entry into the X-Men universe.
Right.
Then somewhere there was X-Men First Class.
Right.
Then there was Days of Future Past. Then Deadpool. This may be chronologically all incorrect.
Whatever.
Deadpool.
Keep going.
Then we had Logan. Then we had Deadpool 2. And then we had Apocalypse.
Did you mention Wolverine 3? Wolverine?
Logan. No, Wolverine 3 is not...
Oh, there is no Wolverine. Logan is Wolverine 3.
Yes,
right? Okay,
Logan
cool.
is Wolverine 3.
Good. I was like...
There is X-Men Origins Wolverine.
I was very
There's
confused.
The Wolverine,
Right.
and there's Logan.
Right.
And then there's Deadpool 2, Apocalypse, and finally ending with Dark Phoenix.
My God.
There is still slated to be one more X-Men movie called The New Mutants.
Right?
But that has been pushed so far along that the actors who are kids in that are now adults. Anyway, so... let's discuss. What's your... Should we do this in ascending order or descending order? Ascending.
Okay.
From worst to best is what I was going to say.
Yeah, worst to best.
Yeah, so that's ascending order, isn't it?
Oh, I guess. Sure.
Yeah, we're ascending to the
Let's
best.
ascend.
All right. What's the worst movie in all
This
of
one.
This one?
Yeah.
Really? Not X-Men Origins Wolverine?
No, because at least I like that character enough to watch him.
Okay, that movie was terrible.
Yeah.
And I can't even
It's
watch
also
it
been
anymore.
a minute. I haven't seen...
This is why I
Okay,
feel you
here's
still
the
think
thing.
Last Stand is better than this movie. Just watch Last Stand and see what a
Here's
travesty
the
that
thing.
shit is.
Let me ask you this. How many
Okay.
of these movies have you watched multiple times?
I've seen the
Very
first
few.
two. No, the first two, X-Men and X-Men 2,
Yeah.
multiple times.
Right.
I've seen The Wolverine and Logan multiple times. I've seen...
I don't think I've seen I've seen the first Wolverine movie twice.
Okay, I've not. I watched it
I haven't
once.
seen the Japanese movie.
That you've not seen it?
No, not twice. I haven't seen multiple times.
Dude, that I think is
I've
still
seen it. That was
still
solid.
not bad, dude. It's
I've seen
quite
that
good.
once. I've seen Logan more times.
Yeah,
than I can count.
yeah. Logan, I've seen multiple
Deadpool,
times.
I've seen twice. Deadpool 2, I've
Seen
only
both
seen
of them
once.
once only,
Just once, yeah.
and don't
Okay.
like the Deadpool films. What can I say?
All right, so I'm going to say this one just because I've felt the most agonized
so
while watching it.
I feel like you should go watch and they'll give you one that both those movies will hurt you so badly.
Which seems like a very bad reason to go and watch it. So I'm just like, it's cool. Like,
don't do it. Okay, don't do it.
I don't think this list's emotions are going to get
for
hurt.
me, the worst film out of all of these is probably X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Okay.
It's quite bad, man. Cool. It's like poor.
Mm-hmm.
There's no semblance of anything going on in that film. So and that was I can't. Number one for me. That's the worst one. After that, second biggest offender. I don't like the Deadpool films. I'm not allowed to say that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'll say X-Men: The Last Stand.
Yeah,
okay?
that's what I was going to say.
Then, what do I do next? This is great.
Nobody cares as much.
Oh, Apocalypse.
Speed it up.
Oh, Apocalypse.
Cool.
Worst. Oh, man,
right.
that should be even
Keep
lower.
going.
Apocalypse.
Keep going.
Then, Deadpool 2. Yeah,
Okay.
I know people like this movie
Keep
and all
going.
that shit, whatever.
Nobody cares.
Okay,
Keep going.
then Deadpool. Sorry.
Sure.
Then, Days of Future Past.
Cool.
Bad. Just like, and people, you're dumb for like.
Just keep going.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Just say names.
I gotta make comments.
No,
okay,
you
cool.
don't. Just say things.
Then the Wolverine.
All right.
Okay. Then now we're in the last few.
The
right?
Wolverine is the second Wolverine movie.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Which is not bad.
All right.
Then, oh wait, I forgot to put Dark Phoenix. Okay, Dark Phoenix is well below all of this. Sorry. Dark Phoenix is like around Deadpool somewhere.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then, no, yeah, and X-Men Last Stand and all that stuff.
Nobody's following you at this point. Nobody can follow
hold on.
where the hell you are in this list.
Check it out. Now we're down to the last.
Yeah,
okay?
give the people what they want.
Then,
what are your top 3 movies? That's all
No,
that matters.
then wait, I'm still going. Then X-Men, the first X-Men.
Yeah.
Great film.
What number are you at right now? I have no idea.
Like 4.
Like 7, 6.
No,
3.
we're in the last few. In
5,
the end game. X-Men, The Last Stand. Above that, not X-Men, The Last Stand. Sorry, X-Men, the first X-Men.
My God.
Okay, then above that is I want to say X-Men 2. Okay, then First Class, and then Logan.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah,
So
we did it.
I think all that anybody cares about is that our top 3 are the exact same.
Oh yeah,
In that order. Cool. There you
yeah.
have it, folks. Wrap it up in a neat little nutshell.
man, Logan, it's so difficult. This movie is like perfect.
It's
perfect.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's.
Fracking beautiful.
Oh God, I feel get emotional thinking about Xavier in that movie, man. Like it's like a grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, that's our list. X-Men, Dark Phoenix. Jishnu, you may hate it. I think it's okay. It's not terrible. Get a hold of yourself. Like, shit on other movies, for God's sakes. Days of Future Past is absolute, like, it's inanely stupid. Like, I can't even believe. How does Shadowcat suddenly have powers to send Wolverine not through a time machine? She sends his mind back in the past. What sense does that make? It makes no sense at all. Oh my God, that movie is so dumb. And then Magneto, biggest offense. Magneto takes steel rods. This is so stupid. He takes steel rods and puts them inside a Sentinel. Alright? And then he can control the computers inside them. What? How does this make sense? You know what he does at the end? So he takes steel rods, puts them inside the Sentinel.
Oh, in the stadium, right?
Yeah, and then he changes the AI to target humans instead of mutants.
Right.
What the is that kind of thinking, man? Who wrote this shit? Simon Kinberg, also, by the way.
There you go.
But yeah,
Don't stand on the shoulders of shit.
I agree. And it's a dumb movie. They should have saved it for the end. They're stupid. That's why Matthew Vaughn is a genius and he left the franchise. He's a smart guy.
What's he doing now?
Kingsman, which is okay. The second movie was okay. It's just not. Why? Why did he do this to Elton John?
Oh, well.
Okay, cool. All right, good.
So, Logan's a pretty good movie. You guys should watch it.
Yeah.
I hear good things.
Okay, and listen to the score of this film. It's good. All right, cool. Later. Bye, X-Men fans.
Filter coffee is a fascinating beverage. You need to pick the right beans, blend them in the right proportion, roast them to perfection, and slow brew at the right temperature to get the perfect cup. Which is exactly like great conversations as well. You need to track down the most interesting minds, get them into their zone, and settle down for an unhurried, unscripted chat. And coffee for me is always, always, always best enjoyed with friends. I'm Karthik Nagarajan, and do share my table as I meet some of the most interesting people I know and sit them down for a strong cup of coffee and an even stronger conversation. Join me every Wednesday for a freshly brewed episode. This is not frappe. This is the Filter Coffee Podcast.
Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, Don Bradman, and now Cyrus Brocha. Okay, probably not in the right company. I mean, Don Bradman is Australian. But it's called Cyrus Says, a wonderful show about everything. Find the show on the IVM Podcast app, ivmpodcast.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts.